Hello and welcome back to another Theory Thursday. Today we are talking about two ways you can visualize, conceptualize modes in your head. Now we've talked about modes before, what they are, where they came from, how do you find them, but there's two main ways you can think about, well, how do I know what notes to play if someone wants me to play this? Two ways. Let's talk about it today. I've got my gray tweed tie on today and my Seiko SNKL on, my first ever automatic watch. As always, if you've been enjoying the theory videos, the tune videos, the just the music videos, all the videos, a like and subscribe is always appreciated, but not necessary. It just keeps the channel going and the community growing. I love making these. I want to keep making them. So I think that's it. Without further ado, two ways to conceptualize modes. Let's go. Okay, two ways to conceptualize modes. Now, before I talk about these, just a real brief recap of what they are. You can think of the 7 Greek modes as just scales with different alterations to them. I have a other video about the history of them. They go back a very, very long time. We call them the Greek modes because the Greeks kind of perfected it, but even before them, people were using scales and tones and pitches to hear things. They thought it caused things, right? Emotional, mental, even physical ailments. They would use modes because they thought they had different cause and effect stuff. So there's a long, long history about the modes, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about two ways you can conceptualize them in your head, okay? Now, the first way is to memorize the scale degree for each mode, and we'll get into that. And the second way is to memorize the scale of the mode. Now, they sound very similar, I know, but they're two very different, but get the same result ideas. Okay, so let's talk about the first one. Memorizing modes based off scale degree. Now, both of these concepts are taught when you go to music school or you take a theory class or whatever. Both of these are taught. It's just what makes sense most for your brain and how do you conceptualize it the easiest. So here in America and Canada and Northern America, where we typically deal with Western music, we are almost binary, especially with pop music, with major and minor. And those are our keys. You have your major keys, your minor keys. And along with those keys come your scales. But there are modes based off of each scale degree of the major scales and also the minor scales, but we're not talking about those today. We're talking about the main 7 Greek modes, those being Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. So when someone says, John, play me a G Mixolydian scale, how do you know what to play? Method 1, memorizing the scale degree. So, Mixolydian. First, you memorize the scale degrees. I know that Mixolydian is a scale based off the 5th scale degree of a major scale. Okay, so that's the first step, is knowing which mode coincides to which scale degree. And they actually do go in that order. First scale degree is Ionian, our major scale. Second scale degree is Dorian. Third scale degree is Phrygian. Fourth scale degree is Lydian. Fifth scale degree, Mixolydian. Sixth, Aeolian, our natural minor scale, right? Relatives, Ionian and Aeolian. And our 7th scale degree, Locrian. Now, why are these attached to scale degrees? Because if I start on the 5th scale degree of this major scale, and I play all the notes of this scale, but I start and end on this scale degree, that's a mode. That's what we would call Mixolydian. Okay, so if someone says, John, play a G Mixolydian scale, I'm thinking G. Mixolydian. Mixolydian is the 5th scale degree mode. So G is the 5th scale degree of what major scale? C. C major. Okay, so you can play the C major scale, but start and end on G. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, natural, right? Because we're still playing the notes of the C major scale where there's no accidentals, and then G. Okay, that would be a G Mixolydian scale. So let's talk about the second method. Second method doesn't have to do with scale degrees or anything. It's just about memorizing scale alterations, memorizing your actual modal scales. So if someone says, John, play me a G Mixolydian scale, I think Mixolydian. I'm not thinking 5th scale degree at all. I'm thinking Mixolydian is a major scale with a flat 7. So I can play a G major scale and make sure I flat the 7th, and that's Mixolydian. So I can go G, A, B, C, D, E, F natural, as opposed to F sharp, G, and there's your G Mixolydian scale. So you can see both concepts come to the same conclusion. You get the same scale. It's just two different ways to think about it. Okay, let's go over one more, and then I'll play them for you so you can hear. If someone were to say, John, play D Dorian. Okay, D Dorian. I'd say first method is John. Dorian is what scale degree mode? I'd say that's the second. So now you think D. D is the 2nd scale degree of what major scale? C. I stuck to the key of C just to make it easy. D. So if I play the C major scale, but I start and end on D, because it's the 2nd scale degree, that would be D Dorian. So I go D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. D Dorian. Okay, you play the C major scale, but you start and end on D. That would be D Dorian. Now the other way to think about this, John, play a D Dorian scale. I'm thinking, okay, Dorian. Dorian is a minor mode, so I can think of D natural minor here. And the difference in a Dorian versus a natural minor is the 6th scale degree is going to be raised. So I'm thinking D, E, F, G, A, B natural as opposed to B flat in a D natural minor scale. C, D. Okay, so you raised the 6th to make it Dorian. Excuse me. Okay, so those are the two ways. First way you can conceptualize this is basing your modes off of scale degrees and just knowing your major scales, basically. Knowing that if someone wanted to play an F Lydian, Lydian is the 4th scale degree mode, so F is the 4th in what major scale? C major. Okay? And then the other way to conceptualize this, you can just memorize the modes and their particular scales. For example, a Lydian scale is just a major scale, but the 4th is raised. Okay? So, I won't go over into exactly, whole steps, half steps, and all that stuff in this video. We're just talking about concepts and ideas here. But let's hear them. Let me grab my guitar. Okay, so let's keep this simple, and I'll play a C major scale, also known as Ionian, so we can set the landscape, set your ear, however you want to think about it. Here's the C major scale. C major. So, let's go over both ways to conceptualize this. If someone were to say, John, play me a G Mixolydian scale. Now I know G or Mixolydian is the 5th scale degree mode. So I find the major scale that has G in the 5th scale degree spot, which is C, and I can play a C scale, but I'm going to start on G. I'm going to play the same exact notes, but I'm going to start and end on G. G Mixolydian. Okay, now the other way to think about this is Mixolydian, I know, is in my head, I'm thinking Mixolydian. Now, that is a major scale, but with a flat 7. So I can just take my G major scale, G major, and I'm going to flat the 7th, which is F sharp down to F. Same result. Get that flat 7, that F natural in there. Okay, so 2 ways to get to the same conclusion. Let's do one more just for fun. Let's do well, let's just stick with D Dorian. We'll stick to the key of C just to make it simple. Our practice key. So D Dorian. Dorian is a minor mode, and well, let's do it backwards. Let's do the second concept first. Dorian is a minor mode, so I'm going to base this off of the natural minor scale. D Dorian is, I'm thinking D natural minor. Okay, there's one flat in there, right? B flat. And Dorian is a raised 6th. So D, A, or D, E, F, G, A, B, flat, C. So this B flat, I want to raise to B natural. And that'd be a D Dorian scale. So let's just do it. D Dorian. You hear that raised 6th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. D Dorian. Now the other way to think about this is Dorian is the 2nd scale degree mode. So let's attach that to a major scale. D is the 2nd scale degree of what scale? C. C major. So if I take a C scale and start with D and end on D, we'll get a D Dorian scale. Same thing. Let's go up the octave. So those are the 2 ways you can conceptualize modes. I won't lay out the nitty-gritty of what each mode is and the alterations, but those are the 2 ways. First way, you can memorize what scale degree each mode is attached to. Right? Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. The other way to do this is you can memorize the actual scales of the modes, knowing Dorian is a minor scale with a rate 6th, knowing Ionian is just a major scale, right? Knowing Aeolian is just a natural minor scale, knowing Mixolydian is just a major scale with a flat 7. So those are the two ways you can think about it. Hopefully you'll learn something, or at least made you think about something, and we'll see you for the next one.